They've been talking a lot about dragons, which in fairness, there's going to be a lot more dragons in season 2, and I also like talking about dragons. So this video, I'm going to talk about the latest talk the people involved with House of the Dragon have been talking about the dragons. So in a previous video, I discussed how they were brutally coming at Caraxes. I mean, just some real devastating stuff about his character. The gist, without rehashing all of it, is showrunner Ryan Condal, Matt Smith, who plays Daemon, Caraxes' writer, and the sound supervisor all think Caraxes is a real piece of shit. Just a bottom-of-the-barrel dragon. Asking what other things have they been saying about the dragons? Well, visual effects supervisor Angus Bickerton said we're going to get more dragons, in season 2, sharing, "We were into this series listing 22 different dragon characters. We only featured 9 of them this season. There's probably going to be more in season 2. Yeah, you think? And if you're wondering what the 9 dragons actually were in season 1, I'll just list them really quick. First, we had Rhaenyra's dragon, Syrinx. Next, Daemon's degenerate dragon, Caraxes, the redheaded stepchild of the bunch. Seasmoke, Laenor's dragon before his death, currently unclaimed. Meleys, which is Rhaenys dragon, the one that burst through the floor and just massacred a bunch of small folk. Vhagar, Aemon's dragon, after he stole it from a motherless little girl and then used it to commit war crimes. Dragon Stealer.
Vhagar is my mother's dragon.
Your mother's dead. Vhagar has a new rider now.
She was mine to collect.
Kinslayer. Degenerate.
How you grown?
Did you know Aemon Targaryen lusts after his own brother's wife?
Marry her then.
I would perform my duty if Mum had only betrothed us.
If only.
Disrespecting his own sister's husband? Aemon Targaryen. Bad for the realm. Eric's Luke's dragon before Vhagar had PTSD flashbacks to the conquest and turned it into bits and pieces. Sunfire, Aegon's dragon, and considered one of the most beautiful dragons to ever exist. They really need to step up their game with Sunfire in season 2. I was not impressed with how it looked in season 1. Dreamfire, which is Helena's dragon, she doesn't ride it too often. Fearmax, Jace's dragon, going on a pretty big journey going up north. There is a 10th, I don't know if it doesn't count or the person didn't count it because it was a brief shot, or maybe they just miscounted. But we do have Vermithor, which was written by 𝑗aehaerys, is the second largest. Vhagar is the largest dragon, and about 100 years old, currently riderless. Vermithor is pretty okay with people because it had a rider for a long time, and 𝑗aehaerys rode his dragon all over the place. His wife also absolutely loved riding dragons, so that was something that they shared in common. The other dragons we'll likely see, but not confirmed yet, are 3 wild dragons, including Cannibal, Sheep Stealer, and Grey Ghost, and then some other dragons that I'm going to list just briefly. Moondancer, Tessarion, who actually belongs to the youngest sibling of Aegon, Helaena, and Aemon. His name is Daeron. He will be in season 2, or at least that's what we're being told. George R. R. Martin claimed, oh, hey, he was just in Old Town during season 1. That's why you didn't see him. We also probably will see Morgul, Srykos, Tyrix, Stormcloud, Silverwing, and Morning. Some of the dragons belong to little kids, or they're actually just too small to ride and do anything, so they'll mostly just hang out in the dragon pit. Given some don't really play a huge role in what's going on, they may gloss over them. Maybe they'll do a shot or two, but don't expect, oh my gosh, we're gonna see this tiny dragon a ton. Now, I covered them comparing Caraxes to a failed white boy rapper that none of the other dragons like, and also I talked about Syrinx, who they described as being built like an eagle and having the qualities of being honorable and proud. But now they actually talked more about child murderer Vhagar. So back to visual effects supervisor Angus, they gave more insight into the little teddy bear, saying, "Vhagar's head alone is the size of a small 6-person vehicle. We talked about trying to reflect their ages and characters in their animation imagination to reflect their riders. In the case of Vhagar, she's so old, she's had 3 riders, she's no longer beholden to anyone. She's irascible and ill-tempered and can't be necessarily controlled. It's subtle because you can't anthropomorphize them too much. You can't give them a squint or a mini smile. It has to be an animal in performance. I definitely think you could tell when Vhagar, feeling Aemon's rage for his years of being the outsider and not fitting in, let herself take control. I think you could see her hunting mode on her face, even though, like they said, they didn't give her like this small smile or anything. But she was definitely ready to take out the thing that caused such a negative emotion in her rider. I also think Eric's daring to spit fire at her was another trigger. You know, she going, who does this little shit think that they are? So I think with the expressions, I guess, in quotes, of Vhagar, you could definitely tell what was going inside the dragon's brain. Finally, they talked about how gross Vhagar has become with age sharing. So for Vhagar, we took references from whales. She has these parasitic birds that live on her, eating mites and bugs off her skin. The rigging and saddles are now cutting into her skin because she's actually grown around it. I mean, I guess it could be understandable that no one wants to saddle and unsaddle Vhagar because of her size and temperament, but that's just nasty. You need to take her through a car wash or something. Aemon, take her for a swim. Let him bathe her a bit, dude. The last little bit of dragons is probably gonna be pretty boring to some people, so you can skip if you so desire, but cinematographer Catherine Goldschmidt, who worked on season 1 and now season 2, talked a bit about the struggles of lighting with dragons. Like I said, not super exciting stuff to end on, but here's what she said. Well, happily, there are always people in the scene as well as dragons, so I tend to light the people and the space and let the dragons fall into this. VFX brings a model of the dragon so we can photograph that in the light for reference. Now, I'm not a cinematographer, but I think the lighting for the dragons was actually spectacular. I'd say some of the cave scenes were way too dark, but I know they did that on purpose. In fact, she actually shared a little bit about that, saying, "It's always story specific, so I'll use an example from our episode. The scene where Daemon finds the dragon eggs, we wanted to be very mysterious. In the sequence, we approach Dragon Mount first from the outside, and then we cut and we're inside a deep, dark crevice that has a bit of daylight streaming through. It's an extreme wide shot, and it's hard to tell just how wide until you notice a teeny tiny body climbing down the crevice in silhouette. We cut and we're in close-up of feet jumping down and walking across the crevice floor. Then we're tracking across a mound and we reveal someone's hands are mining for something. The hands are chipping and clawing away at the mound until suddenly a dragon egg is uncovered and lifted out of the muck, and only then do we reveal Daemon's face. This sequence was scripted for more simply than what I've just described." So yeah, she talked about wanting to use that stuff to let the viewer's imagination kind of go. I still don't like how dark a lot of it is, but I mean, I get why they do it. I just hate it. I mean, they do a lot of interesting tricks in general. I know not the point of this video, but like they talked putting Vaseline on the camera when they did this scene of Vhagar versus Arrax and with the storm and rain to make it more believable. Even though they were having wind and fake rain in there while shooting, they actually put Vaseline on the lens because it actually gave that look of, oh, we're caught in a storm. Finally, what really cracks me up is they had to use 4+ cameras, something they only usually do for big 12-person scenes when filming dragon scenes, just because of the sheer scale of these beasts. This is a non-spoilery photo, but I am going to put a photo on the screen right now of them not necessarily using a model, but when they're using one of the stand-in, the big foam heads for one of the dragons. I love seeing these sneak peek or behind the scenes photos. It cracks me up so much. I'm sure we'll get more dragon talks as the premiere comes closer, so like, subscribe, come back for more sexy dragon interview bits.